Welcome to another installment of This Is Not Normal on the Political Drain podcast with Drill Sergeant Doug, aka Admin Doug, a U.S. Army veteran, teacher, musician, and family man from Jamaica, now fights for justice and democracy through commentary and humor. Follow him on YouTube at Political Drain and at Sons of Liberty Official as Drill Sergeant, aka Admin Doug,
And
continues to
because of
protect
these
our freedoms.
huge cuts, we have this fractured federal government that's barely able to operate. But sure, go ahead, balloon up the DoD budget because war is always on the menu when you're a Republican.
What's up, YouTube? Drill Sergeant here, and we're back with one of my favorite guests that I've had so far. And it turns out, like, as far as the numbers are concerned, it's probably one of your favorite too. We got Jordan Herrera back from the Missouri 6th District.
Missouri's 5th congressional district.
5th District.
Yep. It's funny you mentioned Missouri's 5th going into the 6th because that's exactly what Donald Trump is trying to do to our state right now. We're in the middle of redistricting as well, just like Texas. And Donald Trump has a plan to wipe us off the map and convert Missouri's 5th district into either 3 separate districts that all get absorbed into the rural communities, or to just wipe us off the map entirely. The goal is to have the Republican Party have a 7-1 split in our state for congressional leaders. Currently, we're 6-2. However, our state is only 60% Republican and 40% Democrat. So we're already off kilter from a partisan gerrymandering standpoint. But this action is going to make it worse. So I'm here, I'm in it, I've been fighting, and I'm geared up for this interview, sir.
We talked about this last time, and I wasn't planning on starting here. I was going to go there, but since we're here already, I like to just do it this way. This is called, for the people out there, they have cracking and packing, right? So cracking the district means that when they're trying to cut off pieces of it, right, and then put them into other districts where they won't have a say. Basically, there'll be too little of the Democrats to make a difference in the big piece of red, right?
Correct.
Or they just take a district that is known to be Democratic or whatever it is you're trying to pack for, and just pack it into another one that's so overwhelmingly red that this still doesn't matter, right?
Exactly that. It's separate tactics to dilute the vote and voices of the constituents who live within that district currently. It's an underhanded scheme. I understand why the Republicans are having to do this now, because they know they're going to lose in the midterms. They know that their policies are extremely abusive. They are overreach at its finest. This is the biggest federal government I've ever seen.
Yeah.
This is so called from the Conservative Party.
The party of small government.
Right, that somehow seems to forget that the DoD can't find $4.6 trillion in assets, but they're more than happy to give them a $1.2 trillion budget annually. Makes no sense to me. But beyond that, this is the party of fiscal conservatism. However, although they did these horrible cuts across the federal workforce and now federal union employees, 377,000 have lost their collective bargaining agreement rights. And because of these huge cuts, we have this fractured federal government that's barely able to operate. But sure, go ahead, balloon up the DoD budget because war is always on the menu when you're a Republican.
Well, not just war abroad, war at home.
For sure.
You've given $170 billion to ICE, trillions of dollars to the war machine abroad when you're supposed to be the party of no wars. The only thing that's worth paying for, it seems like, is violence. The only thing worth paying for is violence. The only thing worth voting for is violence. Because it seems to me 80-something% of Republicans are still behind Trump, even though everything that matters, we're talking about collective bargaining, we're talking about SNAP benefits, health care, daggone it, transportation and infrastructure, FEMA. right?
Mhm.
Internet access, it, anything, everything else has been dismantled and destroyed. And 80 something percent are still with
Right.
him because the only thing worth voting for is violence. I got to talk about that now. We're going all over the place already. I knew it would get like this. I wanted to stay on point, Jordan.
Well, they are
You
linked,
won't
these
let
two
me.
things, the redistricting, the failure in the midterms, and what Republicans vote for and what they animate their base over. You're right. It's violence, it's hate, it's fear. It's always a negative. I've never heard a Republican campaign coming from a positive,
Mm,
which I think is just so interesting. You know, how do people not recognize that they're not coming from a place of positivity? And instead, they're coming from a place of abuse. It seems like they're happy to conduct it in like you called it, violence. You know, even when we go to measures that conservatives should be caring for from a compassionate standpoint, such as women's reproductive access and healthcare. They
mm,
can say that they don't have the right to determine what goes on in their own bodies, sure, and they'll vote for that, sure, but they won't do anything for the mother who just gives birth and she has to go back to her two jobs because that's what it takes to get by in America if you're a working class individual. She
mm-hmm,
can't afford maternity leave, and even if she could, maybe one, if one job might afford some kind of maternity leave benefit for her. But guess what? She's a single mom. And even if she is lucky enough to be married today and have a child, great for her. But she probably still has to go back to work because our whole housing system has just been built in such a way that, you know, it requires multiple incomes into one home. And so, where I'm going with this is the Republicans, you know, from this place of pro life, you know, it's been easily said that they're just pro birth. And I think that's very true. I wonder, you know, when they cut SNAP benefits, but they forced women to have children, what did they think was going to happen? You know, isn't it, you know, just malnutrition is death by another means? To me,
So
it's heartless.
it is heartless. It's absolutely heartless. And I'm not much for playing nice with these people. I'm not much for any of that.
Can't.
But what I am going to say is we have a propaganda arm, Fox News and everything that's come, that has been turning our population into a horde of daggone zombies, Jordan.
Right.
I don't know what to do or what to say. I would like to know just what you think about that.
Yeah, no, I think what you're touching on is exactly what has been known as this sort of fear embodying cycle. And it's actually a psychological trick that Republican media typically portrays. So, first, they create or amplify some kind of a cause, a threat, a situation. Maybe it's Democrats are taking over the streets, they're in civil unrest, when in reality, there has not been a single protest across the country that has been civil disobedience or unrest. But you'll hear Fox News anchors talking about it in that way, amplifying this thing, or undocumented immigrants are in your neighborhood and they're coming to take your things away. Well, they've been there for decades and they've never taken your things before. So why now? Again, this is how they're creating the issue. They're amplifying this non-threat thing. They're going to inflame emotions next. They're going to cause fear, anger, some kind of visceral energy that or emotion that human beings, we struggle with emotion often, especially men. We don't know how to talk about them often. We don't know how to deal with them often. And sometimes we're kind of blind to what we're feeling. And I can attest to that also being in the military.
Mm-hmm.
You're kind of trained to not think about your emotions. You're just
Mm-hmm.
trained to listen and react, right?
Yep.
So they're going to inflame emotions. And once you can get somebody to feel an emotion like fear or anger, it's really hard to break them away from it. You have to use a lot of rationalization and explanation. And that takes time that a lot of people don't have time to commit to. So after they've inflamed that, they're going to position the party as their only defender. You'll see Donald Trump doing this all the time. I am your savior. I will take care of you. I will be your benefactor. You're safe with me. That's why I need a third term. All of this garbage. It's not true. We know it's not true because the only billionaires benefits bill just passed, right? And we
Mm-hmm.
see $800 billion being cut from programs, $26.7 billion cut from Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security alone. It's insane. Or I'm sorry, that number 26.7 was cut from WIC and SNAP benefits. The
Jesus.
800 billion was from Social Security and Medicare. And then after they've done that, after they've positioned the party as their only defender, then they're going to mobilize through fear. And then they're just going to repeat and escalate that same cycle over and over and over. And then they're going to scapegoat throughout the process. And anytime somebody has an objection or an issue or a grievance in opposition to their, indoctrination of brainwashing, all they have to say is, what about? Yeah, but what about Hillary's emails? And you'll see they do this. What about this? What about that? Okay, you want to come after Donald Trump, but what about Biden? You didn't say anything then, and they'll make you feel like you don't have the right to say your words.
Yeah.
In reality, don't let them steal the words from your throat. Say them out loud. It's important. They're just using a manipulative tactic.
That was so poignant, on point, and timely. Right now, foxtakedown.com. Have you heard about it? And if you don't know, they're doing something in Cincinnati on the 16th. They're doing something 1st, 2nd, and 3rd of September in Washington. We're going to be there. Sons of Liberty is going to be there. Have you heard about them? Are you willing to take a look at them and see what you can do to help this cause?
Absolutely. So I have seen the marketing for Fox Takedown. I have not taken the time to look into it much. I assume it's going to be a Fox News, Fox Industries blackout sort of type of a protest or boycott. No. I don't watch anything about Fox News. I don't participate in their media at all. I think right now everybody should be doing that.
Yeah, that's the right thing to do. But no, it's not that.
Okay.
Foxtakedown.com. This is something this is ongoing. Every single Friday, 4 months now, Cliff Cash, the wearetheflood.com or .org, one of those, and many other states have been simply protesting Fox News on a regular basis. They're there on the ground, yelling, screaming, saying, we turn your cameras this way for a change. And every week or every month that it went from like 55 to 100 to 120 to 122 to 200 to 201, right? And it's growing and it's growing. And the point is to get thousands there. This is just in DC, but on the website, they're saying, okay, we have focused immediate marches here or focused protests here to do this. So it's a combination of that, but it's been ongoing. And the point is to disrupt them to the point where they have no choice but to look. And if they're not looking, everyone else will be. And wondering what it is. Why is there 1,000 people outside here? Why is there 5,000 people out here every Friday? Right, or whatever it is on whatever other things they got going on the website. I'd love for you to be a part of it. I'd love for you to push it. I'd love for you to help us get that word out there.
Oh, absolutely. I'm definitely going to look them up and see if there's any local activity going on here in the Missouri 5th District here in Kansas City. And even if there's not, well, then I'm going to see if I can get something started.
Awesome.
Yeah, awesome. Absolutely.
Hey, yeah, you. Before you click away to watch someone unbox a tactical toothbrush, let's talk about something real. Political Drain isn't just another content mill. We're a digital front in a very real war. Not with bullets, but with ideas, with action, and with solidarity. We pair urgent news with critical education. And we build community around actual resistance, not the hashtag kind. The kind that moves. But here's the thing. None of this is free. It isn't. Behind every video is time, labor, research, and some weird guy asking if we're going to pay the hosting bill. And yeah, some of that money goes to things we can't necessarily say out loud. If you know, you know. Let's just say Our special ops aren't Call of Duty LARPers. They're people making real moves to protect, uplift, and organize. You're not just funding a channel. You're funding a resistance network in a world where capital still calls the shots. Unfortunately, in a system built on artificial scarcity, even mutual aid has a price tag. And if we want to grow, if we want to win, we need your help. We need your help. So if you've got even a few bucks to spare, toss it our way. It's not for ads. It's not for merch drops, but for people making moves in the shadows so others can do it in the light. It's just us and you. So fund the mission, fund the fight, fund the future, because nobody's coming to save us. We save each other. That's how this works. Follow us on all these things you see here, and our link tree is in the description. Maybe even get some merch.
That was the Political Drain podcast, which can be heard on www.groovechillradio.com/political-drain and can be viewed on the Political Drain YouTube channel anytime. Once again, thank you for listening to Groove Chill as we resist fascism in any form, pursue democracy, peace, and love.